knew that we were black and that we were proud. See, before that, others came to try to teach us taqwa, God consciousness. But their form of taqwa included a high respect for their culture, a high respect for their traditions, a high respect for their knowledge and what they wanted. So it wasn't pointing us in the direction of cleaning us up, to be independent and to be self-sufficient. Their form of taqwa was taking the chains from around our necks that we had and implementing them with a rope. So no, it wasn't a chain, it didn't hurt as much, but it was still a leash, not a rope, but a leash, to where we could be good Muslims that walk behind them. And we could follow them. They wanted to turn us into them as opposed to turning us into Muslims. So Allah sent Imam Muhammad, who grew up in the same situation that we grew up in, spoke the same language. But Allah taught Imam Muhammad. So he was able to take the lessons that Allah gave him and give them to the people so that they could break away from anything that was falsified, so that we could be sitting here today with a clear understanding of the life of our prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, with a clear understanding of what it means to be a Muslim, to be immortal, and with a clear understanding of who Allah is. He gave us a true understanding of taqwa. Taqwa is a protection. Taqwa is warding off evil, observing your duty, abstainment, observing the divine ordinance in every walk of life. So taqwa is recognizing the rights that Allah has over you and being fully conscious or continually striving to understand what it is Allah has for your growth. This is a new year. 2020, it's a new decade. It's a time for reflection on the things that went wrong in the past so that we can make the corrections so moving forward we can be better. So I wanted to reflect on the past. Not so that we could shun it or throw it away, but so that we can understand the process that it took for us to get to where we are today. We have to carry this banner of al-Islam with pride. But every Muslim on the face of the earth has a story of how they became Muslim and why they are where they are today. And they hold it up with pride because every Muslim struggle, every group of people story has struggle in it. But isn't it odd and peculiar that when we tell our story of struggle, people tell us to get over it, don't talk about that? That doesn't mean anything. Even in our own religion, we talk to other Muslims. Oh, that's nothing. I don't. And then they want to give you their story and say, this is a story that you should carry about al-Islam. And 90% of the time, it's non-American Muslims. And they're trying to have you take their story from China or from Saudi Arabia or from Malaysia. But we have a story right here in America of how we became Muslim. Why al-Islam is the fastest growing religion in the West. Why we are equipped to carry this religion. And we should be proud of that. When you walk into a room, yes, you're going to be the so-called outcast or the black sheep. But you've been that your whole life. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, Prophet Isa, Moses, Noah, they were all the black sheep because they walked around with the banner of righteousness. They walked around saying that my struggle is the reason why God has entrusted me to carry this religion. And they carried it with pride. And they talked to the people and said that this is what you need to do. So we have to have that same pride, that that same pride. We can't be ashamed to tell our story. We can't be ashamed. Because everybody raises their hand and says they know who God is. We know who God is. Without God consciousness, mankind cannot achieve its full potential. And in closing, I just wanted to look at this Muslim journal. Because this Muslim journal has a story. It has followed us through that whole process. It has went by many different names. The Final Call, Muhammad Speaks, the Bilalian News, and many other names. And it has got here to the Muslim journal. It still stands strong. And it is just that. It is a journal. It is our story. And our story is continuously being written. And each one of us in this room has the opportunity to continue to write our story. The book is not closed. Some people want to close our book and say, okay, that's enough, now just come on over here. But the reality is that we are not all one people. We are all one humanity, as Allah has created us. But in the Quran, it also says that He created us different. It specifies that He created us different so we can learn from each other. So we can't be afraid to teach somebody else our story. Share with somebody else our story. We have a story. And this Muslim journal tells our story. You open up this Muslim journal and you see a reflection of yourself. It is a reflection of God consciousness, of taqwa. Every week, there's new stories in here about our people that look like us, came from where we came from. And guess what? Other people have their own journals. Other groups of people have books and journals of the stuff that they do. There's absolutely nothing wrong with us having our own journal. I'm speaking like this because since we've been here in America, we have been taught that we should be ashamed of everything that we do. And if we do accomplish something, it's worthless. It means nothing at all. We've been taught that. Then we found Al-Islam. And then we were taught, well, now you're Muslim. So you belong to the Muslim family. There is no more black family. All that stuff you went through, you belong to the Muslim family now, so just do away with that. So dear brothers and sisters, we have to educate ourselves. We have to feel very prideful in who we are. We should. We have to understand that as Muslims we have an advantage. We have an advantage because we believe that we have taqwa, God consciousness. And the average individual doesn't have God consciousness. They're walking around with no awareness of something greater than them. So they're at a disadvantage because they are in bondage to their own self. And as I stated in the first part of the khutbah, we are limited as human beings. But there's no limit to Allah. So if we have God consciousness and awareness of who Allah is, and we understand His greatness, then we understand what He has in store for us. So let us not be ashamed of who we are. And let us understand that the process that we have gone through is only a plan that was given to us and devised by Almighty God Allah. So we're going to be ashamed of what Allah has given us? He has blessed us with that story. Just like He has blessed us to sit here at this Jummah prayer today. Please join me in the door as we close. O Allah, bless Muhammad and the followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Ibrahim and the followers of Ibrahim, and make Muhammad successful, as thou did make Ibrahim successful. For surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst.